Rev up your engines! Today I'm going to talk about Chevy Tahoes. It's a 2002, and they used to make them a lot better than they did today. Now to start out, the giant vehicles. So this one gets about 14 miles a gallon in the city. You're lucky if it gets 17 on a highway. They're gas hogs, there's no doubt in that. They're big giant vehicles. And under the hood, a big giant V8. This one puts out 275 horsepower, but it's easy to work on, as you can see. Lots of room. Alternators on top, easy to get to. And this one puts out about 275 horsepower. It's not a drag racer, no, it's a big giant vehicle. But the engine is plenty big enough for the weight of the vehicle. And this one is 18 years old. You can see a little wear, but the leather seats are still comfy. And it's got some serious mileage on it, 149,601 miles. And you can hear the fan makes a little whirring noise. Turn it off, the noise goes away. No big deal on an old car. It's room and comfort that these things are made for. Really sitting in this chair, as you can see by the passenger, it's kind of like sitting in one of those bar loungers. They really are comfortable. And size, of course. It's got a lot of room. This one's a baby carrier. And when you open up the back, you can see can carry a lot of junk too. There's a lot of space back here. This is one big vehicle. You can put in more seats. These pop up and you got another row of seats. There's a lot of room in one of these things. It's got plenty of power for towing. Know all the mileage on this one? It still drives and rides like a dream. And you might say, Scotty, oh, you're a hypocrite. You always say don't buy GM vehicles. Well, yes, I'm talking about modern ones. This one is 18 years old. They built them a lot better back in the day. And this one spent its life where it was made, here in Texas. Just listen to the door when it closes. That is one solid door. Rear wheel drive. It's not all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. You don't need that in a big people mover like this most of the time. Most people are driving them in the city on a highway. These aren't made to be off-road vehicles. The weight that they have with rear-wheel drive, they got no problem going through the snow. I've driven in the winter, no problems driving these things around. With the weight that they have snow tires on the back, most people, you don't need all-wheel drive. Makes it more complicated. Worse gas margin makes it a ton more expensive to fix when a four-wheel drive system breaks down. Now the engine itself is a V8 pushrod engine. Yes, it's an old design, but it's a tried and true design. These engines can last a long, long time. But you want something that lasts a long time, you can't go wrong with one of these pushrod V8s in a large vehicle like this. Nowadays, these things are made seriously. Look, it's got big steel tow hooks in the front, not some flimsy plastic crap. Yet it's still modern with front disc brakes and rear disc brakes. And underneath, it's got a big beefy rear end. It has a big truck rear end. They made these things solid. They lasted. And heavy-duty shock absorbers. Sad but true, they don't make them like they used to. They're nowhere near as beefy as these old ones were. Me, I take the loss of a little bit of gas mileage against the modern stuff that isn't going to last as long. Breaks down, has rear-end problems, have transmission problems, even have engine problems. And they ride smooth. This thing just toodles down the road, smooth as can be. And because of its weight, when you punch the gas, it gets up and goes somewhat. But it is a heavy vehicle, realize that. It's still got some snap to it though. And it may have 150,000 miles on it, but the gears still shift smooth as silk in this thing. Like I say, they don't make them like they used to. Now it's certainly dated with its dashboard, so you can add on whatever you want. I mean, you want to tear this crap out, you can always stick in an Android radio if you want, but the AC still blows cold. It's got killer heat. And I like the woman who owns this car. Her neighbors always say, oh, you need to get a new vehicle for that old thing. And she's like, hey, I love it. It runs great. It's paid for. And it still looks pretty good. It's got power windows, power door locks, power side view mirrors, power seats. It's not like this thing is a dinosaur. Check this out. They put these nice handholds. They were actually thinking about stuff back in the day. I mean, I like them when they still had chrome bumpers, front and back. a giant roof rack you can put a whole bunch of extra crap on if the inside isn't big enough. And this baby's 18 years old. Check out the paint. Still pretty shiny. Back in 2002, they still knew how to make them in Texas. No, they weren't giving away back in 2002. This particular one was about a $37,000 truck. But if you can find a good used one like this today, you're going to pay a fraction of that, and it can still be an excellent vehicle. And the 4L60 automatic transmission is a simple 4-speed transmission. Very dependable. Like I said, this thing still shifts really smooth. Back in the day, they weren't making these crazy 8-10 speeds that cost a fortune to fix and break down all the time. They were rugged and dependable back then. So you might say, what's Scotty telling people to go out and buy a Chevy? Yeah, if it's 18 years old like this, with a pushrod V8 and a simple 4-speed transmission, they were building them decent back then. Other than horrendous gas mileage, that's just the way it goes with these giant vehicles, especially back in the day. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Here we go with the Cybertruck. What is real? What is fantasy? Well, we're all going to have to try to figure that one out. They're now claiming that there are 532,000 reservations for the Tesla Cybertruck. Well, I kind of take that with a grain of salt because a speculation done by, believe it or not, there's a thing called CybertruckOwnersClub.com. Okay, there's a CybertruckOwnersClub.com already out there, even though there aren't any trucks out there yet. But they're claiming that there's at least 532,048 orders that have been placed for that. We all remember some of the stuff that old Elon said, and he had to pay a lot of fines for doing some stock manipulation. Well, it's kind of interesting, you know, to say the least, whether this is real or not. Now, the reservations only cost $100 a piece, which Tesla said is refundable. Now, when they had the Model 3, those reservations were $1,000 a piece. Tesla denied that 23% the Model 3 ones were refunded. So, you know, who knows? They're all trying to hide stuff from everybody here. Now, they're not going to start producing this thing till 2021. Realize that. And, of course, no one knows if this thing's going to make, whether it's going to be able to comply with pedestrian crash safety standards and other standards. Realize that when vehicles are sold, they have to meet all kinds of regulations. They have to meet crash regulations. They got to meet all kinds of regulations. Of course, now, I do have to say, for electric vehicles, it's a lot easier to meet the standards because they don't have to worry about meeting the EPA pollution standards because they're electric cars. They don't have engines in them, gasoline or diesel engines, so they don't pollute. So they don't have to meet any of that standards, which are very hard to meet. That's one advantage of building an electric car. You bypass all that. You don't have to worry about pollution standards. They don't pollute. They just have batteries in them. Like I said, these aren't going to be made until 2021, they say, but they're claiming that there's 532,000 orders of them already out there. Bob H. 1970 says, Scotty, I love your vids. I tend to run my car's vent through the front defrosters. I don't know why, I just do that. I hear when you use your defrosters, the heat in the AC comes on. Is that going to damage anything? No. Cars are made that way today. And the main reason they're made that way is because you don't want your windows fogging up. That's dangerous. Now, when I was a kid, windows always fogged up north where I lived. You'd have a little towel, you wipe it off because heat in your car gets you hot. But it really doesn't do all that much to get rid of moisture. But when you turn on an air conditioner, the air conditioning air is extremely dry. Like here in Houston, some of the problems that people have is they got one of these modern sealed townhomes. It's all sealed so they don't spend much money on electricity. And they got a super efficient air conditioning system. And it can be drier inside those houses than in the Arabian desert. It's real dry, and that keeps you from getting any kind of a fog building up on your windshield. Now, all cars are designed to run that way, so you're not hurting anything doing that. They're designed for that so that they don't fog up. So don't worry about it. You're not hurting anything doing that by any stretch of the imagination. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.